Evening, everyone. Welcome. Oh, microphone. Need that to be useful, wouldn't it? Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Ask Andy Q&A. I will do my best over the next 30 minutes to answer as many of your questions as I possibly can. I know some of you say, why are these only monthly now? You used to do them weekly, you used to do them fortnightly. I would love to get them back to at least fortnightly, but for now, it's just going to be monthly. But yeah, we'll try and get through as many questions as we can. For those of you who are new or may have just forgotten, quick ground rules just to make this a little bit smoother for everyone, a bit more efficient. If you've got a question, please just ask. If you've got more than one question, please just ask the one that is most important to you, because we always have so many questions. We never have enough time for all of them. So if I do notice that you've got more than one question, I'll probably just skip your second, third ones, unless we do find there's time later on. And also, please read over it before you press enter, because sometimes there are spelling errors or it's split over two messages. It doesn't always make sense. So please just read it all, check it all makes sense, then press enter. And as I said, I will do my best to answer it if I can. For those of you who are new as well, you may well be watching on Instagram. Hello on Instagram, or you might be on YouTube, which is over there. Hello on YouTube. I'll try and dance between the two as we go on. And there are some early questions already. So let's have a look at those, shall we? And this first one is from IKL. It says, hi, Andy. I see Santander is reducing the interest on the Edge Up current account from 3.5% to 3% from the end of October. The £5 fee remains and I guess you're about to say the same. Yeah, I'm not surprised about this one. So the Edge Up current account, I've covered it. I've got a review article and a review video on it. So you can check whichever one's best for you, reading or watching. And broadly speaking, I'm not a fan of it. I don't see the point of paying £5 a month for this particular account, because you don't really get any additional benefits from this that you can't get from elsewhere for less. So, for example, the big thing about the Edge Up is additional double the quota on cashback on spending your debit card every month, which sounds great, but that increases it from £10 to £20, but on a limited amount of spending. So it's supermarkets and transport pretty much. Whereas you can get £15 of cashback with a Chase debit card. And for most people, 1% cashback, are you really spending £1,500 on Chase anyway to go over that, or £2,000 on supermarket groceries to go over that on the Edge Up? So that point of view is not worth paying extra to get that. Plus, you don't get access to the Edge Saver account. The only way to get the Edge Saver account is via the Edge current account. Now, that Edge Saver, the rate has been reduced recently from 7% to 6%, but it's still better than you're going to get elsewhere. And you can easily beat Edge Up at 3.5% to 3%. You can easily beat it elsewhere. So if you've got the Edge Up, whether that's IKL, whether you've got that account, or you're thinking about it, or anyone has got that, then I would be looking to ditch it and move it potentially to the Edge account, because you can still get some cash back on spending. You can still get cash back on your bills, and you get access to that savings account. Still have a fee to pay every month, but only £3 rather than £5. So I would think about moving to that, or maybe looking elsewhere. If you aren't paying the bills and getting cash back on the bills, it's certainly not one to go for. But thank you for that. Thanks for pointing out. That's good to know. Rich from Mitch. Well, that's from Mitcham. Hi, Andy. You mentioned using gift cards at supermarkets sometimes. Are there any ways to save money at Lidl like that? So off the top of my head, I can't remember if Lidl is one of those ones on the list. We have got an article that Nikki wrote earlier this year, I think maybe late last year, about ways to save money at Lidl. We've done all the supermarkets. So go to becleveryourcash.com, just type in Lidl, that article will come up, and that will give you a number of ways. And if the cashback apps, which give you money back on gift cards, is in that mix, it will say so there. If not, there might be other ways to save. Broadly speaking, they are hard, Aldi and Lidl, they are harder to find those different ways to save, because they don't do it so often. You're more likely to be better off downloading the Lidl Plus app. And if you do shop there regularly, again, this is in that article, but you can trigger certain bonuses. Every time you spend throughout the month, you get certain things as the cumulative spend adds up, like freebies, up to money off your shop and things like that. Plus, you also, often in the supermarkets, you might get, in newspapers like the Metro, they might occasionally have like a £5 or £30 voucher, but also you get them in the app. So there are ways to save, just not many as you would in other supermarkets. Okay, let's have a quick look at Instagram. So David McCracken says, will the government tax the 25% tax-free amount you can take from your pension at 55? Well, so this is speculation. So over on, if you don't already, do check out our podcast. It's called Cash Chats. It's available both on YouTube and on all podcasting apps. And every Thursday on YouTube and Friday morning on podcast apps, myself and Amelia, who's our deputy editor, we take you through the news stories. And a couple of times over the last few months, we have talked about things like this. Basically, what will the Labour government be doing around taxation, because the budget is coming up in October. I think it's the 10th of October, and they have got to find a lot of money. And the way they're going to do that pretty much is via some kind of tax grabs here or there. They've said it won't be VAT, it won't be national insurance, it won't be income tax. So you'd imagine tax relief on pensions, or maybe that lump sum which is currently tax-free, doing something there. The problem is right now it's all speculation. We don't know. I can say, yes, that maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't know. Very, very few people will know. In fact, the Labour government probably don't know just yet exactly what they're going to do. So at the moment, just sit back, not worry too much about it, because there's very little we can do. Potentially, if you have a large amount of wealth, you might want to be talking to a financial advisor anyway, and they might have some things you should be doing potentially in order to kind of get in case there are any changes. But often, sometimes these changes, when they come in, they can be sort of like backdated slightly. So it's harder to kind of get around them. You already have that with sort of selling stocks and shares and capital gains tax. You know, you can't just sell them and buy them again to sort out your allowances. So yeah, wait and see. We'll tell you more about it in those episodes of the podcast. And obviously, when the budget is on, we'll do a whole coverage of that, articles, podcasts, videos, all sorts of things, taking you through exactly what you need to, how it's going to impact you there and then. What else got here? So Andrew Bain says, hi Andy, I see Starling have updated the homepage. Keen for your opinion of it. I would certainly say it's a major improvement. Question, Chase, Monzo, Starling, which would you recommend first? So yeah, I know that they were going to do this because they sort of emailed saying this was coming along. And in fact, you might have already read or heard when we did a kind of roundup of some of our favourite money experiences, and Flynn in the team who runs social media, he shared that he's a big fan of Starling. For the pie chart you see on the home screen, I was like, oh, Flynn, it's going to go. But as yet, I haven't actually updated my app, so I haven't seen that. So it's a really good reminder, Andrew. I will have a look at that and see what the new one looks like. And for all of you, that's also a really good reminder to regularly update your banking apps. I mean, all apps is good practice to do it, right? But I'm really bad at it. But particularly make sure you do your banking apps. Because I had a thing a few weeks ago where I wanted to go into my Chase app. I don't use Chase a huge amount, but I use it for some spending. And it wouldn't open for me because I hadn't updated it. Now, it was fine. I was at home. It wasn't a problem. But if I'd been out and about and I was trying to authorize a payment or something like that, that could have been an issue, or wanted to access the card details, could have been a problem. So when you finish this, or if you're watching this on a computer, not your phone, maybe now get your phone out and start updating the apps. If you are watching this on your phone, we'll just wait another 23 minutes and then make sure you do that. Ed's Themes Park says, hi, Andy. What's the best Switch deal? I'm with NatWest and worried about moving. So I did an update. What day is it? Today's Monday, isn't it? So last night on Sunday, I did an update on the YouTube channel, taking you through that September current account news and offers. And normally I give you a rundown of all the different switching deals that are currently available, just the highlights. And there's only one. There's only one running right now, and that is a TSB offer. So again, check out that video last night, or in fact, check out the separate video where I go into detail on that TSB switch offer, or read the article where I go into detail, because that has more information, which you'll need to know if you're going to take advantage of that offer. And I expect that to end this week, if not next week. But I would also expect new ones to come along. So it's a bit of a lean period right now, but more will come along. What I would say to you, if you're worried about moving away from a bank, I've got loads of content which takes you through bank switching, and that hopefully might alleviate some of those concerns. So again, article and video on the basics of bank switching. So watch that, read that, understand exactly how that works. That might hopefully mean you're not less worried about it. But also, the big hack that I share with you guys a lot, and I know so many of you do this anyway, is to not switch your main bank account. It's to set up a dummy current account, which you use just for switching. And that means you don't have to leave your existing current account or anything like that. You can keep that there. It's good for your credit report in terms of longevity. It might give you that sort of peace of mind as well. So that might be an option to do it. But you would, if it was your main account, you would then need to manually or move over those direct debits and standing orders and things like that. But certainly look into that. So how to switch bank, sort of basics one, and also setting up a dummy current account. Those two things should really help you get a sense of what you might want to be doing. Back to Insta. Everyone's just watching on Insta. That's fine. No problem at all. Rich says it was from Mitcham. Don't know if you're a Palace fan like me, but from Mitcham you might be. Dylan says, hi Andy, I will be leaving Barclays rainy day saver this month. Do you think you can recommend more great replacement savings accounts for this? So yeah, again, this is what I mentioned last night in the current account update. I'm also going to do a savings account update on Wednesday night. I always like to keep that as close as possible to our newsletter, which comes out on Thursday morning. So I always do that kind of 4 o'clock on a Wednesday once a month, all the latest rates, all the latest news. But I will be talking there about that rainy day saver. And also the best paying accounts out there. So you can wait for that. or go to becleverwithyourcash.com/savings, where myself and the team twice a day, we update all the best savings accounts out there so you can find the best place for your money. What I would say, just as a headline for though, that rainy day saver, you've got until the end of September before you need to cancel that account. So you may as well keep your money in there, get that 5.12%, potentially, unless you do find another account now you want to open, just get ahead of the game. Major K Dot says, what's the best cash ISA from a reputable high street market saver? My existing one will be reduced rates in November. Again, we have got the best cash ISA rates on a separate page, actually, but head to becleverwithyourcash.com and look at our best buy tables, and you'll see the ISA one there. And that's updated again twice a day. And you'll see the best options there. I guess it depends what you're after. Is it easy access? Is it a fix? I would certainly say if it's a fix that you'll be happy to do a fix, then it might be better to do it now rather than wait until November. But obviously, if you're currently in a fix, then the money won't mature. It won't be available until November, in which case rates could be massively different then. But if it is easy access that you're after, them taking the money in and out, top of my head, the best paying one is a double access. So it's not fully easy access, double access from Progressive Building Society, although these things are changing all the time. And Trading 212 at 5%. Well, it's currently 5.2%, but from the 9th of September, which is what, next Monday, that drops to 5%. They are the best options right now. But again, I'll do another talk about ISAs in Wednesday's update as well. Gary says, hi Andy, question, stoozing for grocery shops on credit card and pumping that into an ISA or Cheddar, currently 3.25% cashback for me, and pumping that into something like Trading 212 Cash ISA. I'm not near the limit, so that's no issue. Okay, so what you're saying here is, should you be stoozing, which is where you get a 0% purchase credit card and you put as much spending as you possibly can in there, and then that money you would have spent on things like groceries, you put into a savings account, or do you get a voucher from the likes of Cheddar and Jam Donut and Hyperjar, and the money you get back from that, put that into a savings account? I think it's going to be relatively minimal between the two. Probably, I would imagine getting the cash back and then saving the cash back is going to be a better option for you. If anyone wants to do the maths, do let me know. That'd be great. But it's great to stack these and do double things. But I would imagine, you'd probably be better off. You're getting cash back at 3.25% and then putting it in savings as well. That's better than just putting the money into savings. Oh no, it's the larger amount, isn't it? Or I don't know. I think it'd be relatively minimal, but whatever you find most convenient is probably the best bet. The danger, obviously, with the Cheddar and things like that is you sometimes have a minimum payout you have to earn in order to get it out. So it might be sitting there for a while before you get it. Whole guide on stoozing on the website and YouTube, a whole article on those different cashback gift card sites on the website as well. So Sati says, hi Andy, just got a mortgage agreed. During the term, is it better to keep savings, overpay the mortgage, or invest? Really interesting question, that one. We've just put an article, the pros and cons of overpaying your mortgage, on the site last week. And I've actually recorded a video to go live, probably not for a week or so yet, on that very matter. So if you wait for that, you'll get some thoughts there. But what I would say is, ideally, it'd be a mix. From my point of view, it's a mix of them. You want to make sure you've got emergency savings in place. If you haven't got them, that should be a priority. And of course, before that, you want to make sure you cleared any debts. And then in terms of overpaying your mortgage versus further savings or investing, there are so many different things that come into play there that, broadly speaking, a little bit of everything. Your pension as well, consider that is kind of things you have to think about as well. Reese says, sorry, Ed, you've got a second question there. I know I said I'm not doing two questions, but this is useful for lots of people. What's the best card for using America? Currently use Halifax Clarity. I'm just going to direct you to the video and the article. So the video on YouTube and the article on becleverwithyourcash.com take you through all the best options out there. Reese says, hi Andy, been watching you for a few years now. I just want to say that I love what you're doing and I hope you continue. Oh, thank you, Reese. Yes, no plans to stop anytime soon. And I particularly love doing these lives with you guys, which is hopefully you guys feel the same as well. Sen says, I'm going to see a drop in income, which means remortgaging will be difficult. Typically, how bad are product transfers? Are they as pretty much the same as a standard variable rate bank offers? So a product transfer, for those of you who don't know, is when you stay with your existing provider, but you just move from your current product. I hate some of the words that we use, particularly around mortgages, but current product will be the mortgage deal you've got right now. And you literally go, right, this one ends, so I want to move to one of the other ones that you've got available to me right now. generally a fix, potentially a tracker, as opposed to just automatically rolling onto the standard variable rate mortgage, which is going to be one of the most expensive ones, if not almost certainly the most expensive ways to have a mortgage right now. So doing this product transfer generally means you won't have any affordability checks, which is what Sen's talking about here. So they're not going to go and look at your bank statements again and work out how much you actually can afford every month and all these kind of things, just moving you over. There could be fees associated with that product transfer, so you have to look at those and work out how much they're going to cost. But effectively, it can be the right thing to do if you are worried particularly about going for those affordability checks. The alternative, which I'm sure Sen will know, but some of you might not know, is to remortgage, and that potentially means looking at the whole of the market and see what other banks, building societies, other lenders, what they're offering in terms of different rates, because you may well find there are lower rate mortgages out there, lower fees, other kind of things that might be useful to you, like flexibility. We're talking about overpaying the mortgage right now. Different mortgage providers have different rules on overpayment and things like that. Sadly, it's hard to say which is going to be better. Broadly speaking, you probably would find a better deal elsewhere, but to go through that whole process of the affordability stuff, and if you are concerned about that, then sadly, it might just be the product transfer and going for the best option there. What you can do with product transfers in the same way you can when you look for a new mortgage deal elsewhere is do this potentially 6 months before the mortgage is due to end, although a number of providers have knocked that back to 4 months, and a few other big providers are going to follow that as well, but still 4 months before it ends. So that gives you time to hopefully, let's say if rates were, I know we're hoping and seeing rates reducing, but if they were starting to go up, if you lock in 4 months in advance, then you are able to guarantee that you're not going to be paying more if that was to happen, if they were to go up. But when you lock these in 4 months in advance, do check this, and you might want to go to a mortgage advisor to get this properly, sort of like best sort of views on this. Get one which, if deals do drop in that time, you can leave that penalty free and then move on to a cheaper deal as well. So you want to make sure there are no penalties if that was to happen. You've got to weigh that up. And if you are doing a product transfer, then that might be easier. It might be trickier. It does depend on the lender. In fact, it might be worth talking to a mortgage broker anyway, just to see if they can look at your situation. They can give you a sense of whether there might be cheaper options for you out there, and it shouldn't cost you anything to do that as well. What else we've got going on? Let's check over on Insta. Now, you guys are just watching. It's kind of, you're very welcome to. Oh, here one. Theo says, what's the best credit card for an 18-year-old in the UK? Oh, good question, particularly with so many people about to go to university and big concerns about how they're going to pay for it, pretty much. You get the student loans, you get 0% overdrafts, which will make a big difference in terms of getting through, but obviously they all have to be paid back. So ideally, you don't want to be going for a credit card on top of those. Obviously, you don't say you're a student, you might not be a student, but be looking at a credit card to help improve your credit report and start building some sort of credit history there, which is also going to be really vital as years go on. Very, very simple answer here is there is no best credit card, because the best credit card you can get is the one that you're most likely to be accepted for. So generally speaking, there's going to be a much more reduced scale of cards available, because you won't be able to get some of those big ones with kind of all the big cashback and stuff like that. You're going to be able to much reduced range. So you want to go for the one which is the best chance. And to do that, to find that out, is to go via a comparison site, and they will give you put your details in over a big range of them, and hopefully some will come back. Ideally 10 out of 10, but if not 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10. They're generally the best ones to go for. I have got a whole video. It's quite old now. I need to do an update on the best credit card for first time for beginners, right? Everything in there is still the same. Those general principles haven't changed. I think I mentioned towards the end some particular cards. Obviously, they might have changed slightly, although I don't think they have actually, if I'm honest. But do watch that for the basic principles, and then do that comparison and see what comes along. And the big rule to follow is any spending you put on that credit card, that you clear the balance completely every single month. Otherwise, you can start getting charged interest. Now, if you don't think you can afford to repay the interest every month, then suddenly it's not just about the which card you can get accepted comes into play. It's the interest rate would also becomes really important as well. So if you've got 3 cards, equal chance of getting accepted on all of them, and one of them has a much lower interest rate than the others, then go for that. But you've got to think really carefully about if that's why you want that credit card and how you're going to use it, because again, there might be other options out there which would be better to still allow you to borrow money for whatever reason it might be, but without building up these debts, which can be incredibly expensive. Okay, so all those things just dropped through here. Rydia says, by being able to open sub-accounts with Chase, do these appear on the credit report as new current accounts? It's a really good question. I don't think they do. From memory, Chase, because Chase doesn't do a hard search anyway. So this is when they basically, when you're applying for credit, bank accounts, credit cards, loans, mortgages, not savings accounts, but other places, you generally get a hard check. There are a handful of current accounts which don't do a hard search, they do a soft search instead. So that doesn't necessarily mean they won't also appear on the credit report, but I can't remember if Chase appears on there or not. It didn't used to, but it might do now. Yeah, really interesting. I don't know the answer to that. Have I got more than one Chase current account? If I haven't, I'll have a look and I'll see what happens. But broadly speaking, it's not going to be an issue if it does. It's not going to be a hard search. It would just be appearing there as a record of your different accounts that you will see, but it won't make any other difference in any way to your ability to borrow again in the future. Job, right? I might not be able to answer this one, but let's shout out anyway. Is it worth overpaying student loans with the current interest rate? My monthly payments at the moment are less than the interest added each month. Yeah, so I'm going to pass on this one because student loans are incredibly complicated. It really depends upon a number of different factors. For example, when you graduated, where you live in the country, all these kind of things, and what's available elsewhere. So I would probably just do a Google. Money Saving Expert, to be fair, has a lot of information about overpaying student loans depending on when you had them and stuff. So maybe go in there and have a look. The general rule of thumb used to be that unless you were a really high earner, and that was likely to be the case from quite early on after graduating, that it wasn't worth overpaying it. And if you were a low earner, it certainly wasn't doing it because you probably never pay it all off. But that has changed, I think, in the last sort of year or so. Sounds like if you're paying it off now, it won't apply to you. But it's certainly something that's too complicated for me to sort of just do off the top of my head now in a few minutes. But yeah, good luck with that one. Books and Pick says, hi Andy, have you seen the Halifax World Elite MasterCard? It looks pretty good, and I just wanted to ask your thoughts on whether it's worth the £15 a month fee. So we have covered this on the channel and on the website. We actually covered the Lloyds World Elite MasterCard. Lloyds and Halifax have a lot of products which are exactly the same. They are part of the same bank. So sometimes they just rebadge it under one bank or the other, but it's exactly the same product. Now, this was a while ago, and I can't remember. I think it was probably in a credit card update video rather than a standalone video. It's worth having a search to see if it pops up. It would be the Lloyds World Elite credit card that we would have covered, or just go to the website. There's more information there. My memory on this one is it's about basically access to airport lounges. I think that's right. If that is the case, and you travel a lot, and you think £15 a month can justify that, then great. But for most people, most normal people who don't spend a lot of time at the airport, that and the other benefits probably weren't enough and could be beaten elsewhere. But certainly for frequent travelers, my memory was it wasn't too bad an option. Matt says, I'm 25, getting my first ever credit card. Should I go for the AMEX cashback everyday credit card? So just building on what we talked about just now in terms of first-time credit card, if you are eligible for a cashback card, then great. The main thing to remember is just because you're earning 0.5% or 1% over here, if you're not paying it off over there, then that's going to cancel it all out because the interest will wipe it out. So don't get it just for that. You only use these cards for spending you can afford. But if you can get an AMEX, absolutely, I would go for them. I think they're amongst the best ones in terms of those cashback and reward cards out there. Not perfect, not everywhere will take them, but the vast majority of places do. Every day, your supermarket, your petrol stations, or your big petrol stations at least, trains, most online retailers do, although eBay have recently stopped accepting it. Yeah, you'll be absolutely fine with that one. Have actually covered, you say you're 25, so potentially your credit history might be a bit better, then gives you more options there. In terms of the first AMEX credit card, I have done a video, I think it was the start of this year, and an article looking at literally that, which is the best first American Express credit card to go for. Because if you want to get a little bit more complicated, when you're more confident with it, then there are ways to there are ones to go for first, and then second and third. But if you're not worried about that, you just want to get some points, and that is not a bad one to go for. Main thing with that one, though, you have to spend at least £3,000 on the card in the first year in order to trigger that welcome bonus. If you don't, or in fact, to trigger any cashback at all. So if you don't spend £3,000 on the card, you don't get anything. So from that point of view, there others might be better for you to go for. Just an update for you guys. Tiptoe Mouses have checked cheddar, hyperjar, and jam donut, and none of them have Lidl listed at the moment. So sadly, you won't be able to save with that. But again, as I mentioned before, that article on how to save money at Lidl and Aldi, I think it's a combined one, will have some other tips in there worth looking at. Another so a student loan one again. Sorry about that one. I can't help you with that. And then Jonathan's replied to that saying, "Don't waste your money overpaying the student loans. Just let the government take the minimum amount." Fortnite Ball says, Andy, with the recent Barclays account switch that's just ended, I switched a few days before it ended. It's still currently in progress. Will I get the money from the bonus? Yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, every deal will change and have different terms and conditions. But broadly speaking, this is certainly the case for the Barclays one, the date that they list is often the last date for you to start the switch. So as long as you have started the switch by that date, it will come through. Now, some accounts might say something different and say it must be completed by a certain date. Obviously, every time you go for that, I list those information on the full analysis at becleveryourcash.com and in the videos I do for each bank switching deal. So it should be there, but I would always encourage you just to check when you click through on the app, on their own bank's own website, just read that stuff again and just double check that stuff so you're familiar with it and you know exactly what it is, just so you are doubly safe. Michael says, what do you think of Chip reducing the rate on the easy access saver but increasing it on the saver account, which only 3 withdrawals allowed before a penalty? Yeah, this is a bit of an annoying one. So this is happening. I'll cover this in detail in Wednesday's savings video and article. But basically, the easy access, confusing names they have. I think it's the instant access saver is the one that pays 4.84 at the moment. They're going to reduce that one down a fair bit to about 4.04%, something like that. And then introduce a brand new account which pays a lot more again, although a chunk of that is going to be a bonus for the first year. So after a year, that will drop again. But it's limited access, so you can only take money out at certain times. Now, they say they're doing this is because people were using the savings account like a current account, which is a bit bizarre. It's an instant access account. Of course, people are going to be taking money in and out of it. That's the point of an easy access account. If they wanted to lock it away, they would just lock it away. But yes, I will cover that in more detail. I won't talk too much about it now because we're running out of time. But yeah, I'll cover that more on Wednesday. But it is a shame. So do be aware if you are using Chip, you're going to have to make some moves sooner rather than later. Simon says, can you do a video on bonds? I don't understand the tax implications. I'm told I can draw out 5k a year without paying tax, but it depends on my earnings. Right, yeah, that's a bit complicated to do now. I'll try and remember to make a list and we can sort of maybe look at that at a later date. Pip says, I feel like my cash ISA isn't doing much. Should I change it to a stocks and shares ISA? It really is up to you. Obviously, cash ISAs right now, Trading 212's cash ISA is paying 5%, which is pretty decent. Obviously, that's about savings. It's a variable rate. It can change. The best fixed rate ones are below that. I think it's 4.75 now for a 1-year fix, and the rest are lower than that. So these rates are all falling compared to where they were. Whereas with a stocks and shares ISA, you don't know what's going to happen. The general thinking is over the long term, it should outperform savings. And as savings rates fall, if interest rates, if stocks and shares continue to follow upward curves, then they will do better because you never quite know. So it's really about when you need the money, what your goals are, how much you have available to you here or there, if you have an easy access pot as well to help you work out what's the best thing to do with that. JP says, how come you never mentioned the Co-op members cashback credit card, 0.5% at Co-op and 0.3% elsewhere? So better than Lloyd's cashback card. Yeah, possibly, but again, though, it's not one of the best ones. So I don't mention everything. I generally tell you about the best ones. If a new product comes along, I'll tell you about if it's good or bad. But that one is a bit meh. I mean, if you shop at Co-op all the time, 0.5% is fine. But if you shop at Co-op all the time, you can get 1% with Chase or 1% with the AMEX Nectar or 0.75% with the AMEX cashback. So you can beat it everywhere pretty much. And the Co-op itself, all supermarkets, they'll take cashback cards like Amex, so it's fine. Incidentally, just a heads up to you, if you've got the Asda credit card, they've also dropped the rate you get at Asda from 1% to 0.75%, which means again it's not much point to having that. And how are we doing? A couple more minutes. Ernestine says the other accounts on Chase do not appear as extra accounts on credit files. That's really good to know. I would have thought so, but it's good to have that confirmed there. Tiptoe Mouse is great. I love it when you guys sort of jump in as well and give some insight, your insights as well. It says product transfers for mortgages, going back to what we talked about earlier. They found that Nationwide's product transfers worked out just as competitive as switching provider. But of course, it does depend who your existing mortgage is with. Joanne says, thanks for all these amazing contents. Quick ones for you. Was about to leave Barclays Blue Rewards this month, but heard that Trading 212 was dropping their interest rate to 5%. Do you still think it's a good idea to leave the rainy day saver? I will talk about that in more detail on Wednesday's update for savings in September. You know what I mean. So I'll save that for them. And Joanne also says, can you share your opinion of the new 2% Santander cashback credit card? Do you think it could be AMEX or Chase cashback cards? Again, this launched a good few months ago now. Whole review over at becleveryourcash.com. And again, if you search the YouTube channel for Santander Edge credit card, it should appear. I don't think it's a standalone video. It could be a standalone video, or it's one of my sort of monthly credit card updates. That will take you through the kind of analysis there of when it can be good and when it's not so good. How are we doing? 1 more minute left. Last few questions to see if we can get through. Sorry, Mike. I'd love to answer that, but I haven't got time to think about it. Fortnite Balls, we've got that one already. Siddhartha says, I'm wanting to upgrade my phone on Black Friday this year, but got the cash to buy outright. But was wondering if there's a way to spread the cost out without a buy now, pay later scheme. So yes, if you get the savings and you want to keep them in savings, earning interest, you could consider a 0% purchase credit card. Obviously, do that application. Check that eligibility check first of all to get an idea of what you're likely to be accepted for, but also that length at 0%. And what you can do is put that card on at 0% and then pay off every single month a decent chunk of it. You can do at least the minimum, or you can do more, or you can have it in savings ready to come out and pay that all off once that 0% period ends. Or actually, if you're looking at Apple and Samsung, for brand new phones, they often have a 0% offer as well. And I imagine that will be running with the new phones being launched, at least iPhones this month. I don't know about Samsung. And with Black Friday, I imagine those offers will be running at the same time. So again, both of these, they are going to be credit applications. So you've got to consider the impact on your credit score. How are we doing? I'm overrunning slightly, but let's do these last two that are here if I can. Sati says, is there any chance of an update on the kids' savings accounts, Junior Cash ISA and Junior Stocks and Shares ISA? So certainly the kids' savings accounts page, I think that's just been updated by the team just this week. I often do those updates for that particular page at least at the start of the month, if not more often. So head over to becleveryourcash.com and check that one out. If not, I'll make sure it's updated in the coming days. We don't really look at investment stuff here on the channel. So in terms of the stocks and shares ISAs, it might be best just do some of your broader research elsewhere. Main thing obviously to think about there is fees and how much they're going to cost, particularly when you consider, obviously you can move that ISA around, but the kid's not going to access the money until they're 18. So it's probably going to stay in that format for a long time. And Akshay says, hi Andy, thanks to your Barclays Bank Switch video offer, and I received 175 quid and I'll soon cancel the Blue Reward. So well done. That is fantastic. I love hearing about it when you guys get a big chunk of cash from the things that I share. Don't forget, becleverwithyourcash.com/newsletter is where you go to sign up for our weekly newsletter. It comes out every Thursday morning, roughly around 7 a.m. The best of everything we cover. So a lot of the time, if you're reading that every week, you're on top of that stuff, then you're going to be well armed to take advantage of whether it's a deal or a change in terms and conditions or just a little hack to save some money or make some money. Generally sort of, ready and prepared. And sometimes these questions, you're like, oh, I already know this stuff as we're going along. But that's it, becleveryourcash.com/newsletter. I'll leave you just that URL. I'm going to head off, have my dinner. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of the evening. Don't think I'll do another one of these in September, so probably the next one will likely be in early October. All right, guys. Cheers.